Thanks for pressing play on this episode of Two and Out. Joining the show right now is Andrew from the Turf District podcast. We're going to go through the Edmonton Elks. They are our fifth team that we are previewing before the 2025 CFL season. Andrew, thanks for being here.
Oh, as always, thanks for having me on, guys. It's been much too long since I've been able to sit down with you two gentlemen and have a good chat.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. Now, all three of us have attended CFL Fans Fight Cancer events in the past, but since we're all here, we're getting ready to talk football. Grey Cup coming up November 16th in Winnipeg. So CFL Fans Fight Cancer is happening at the Tavern United, downtown Winnipeg on the 15th, the day before the Grey Cup. But this year, they've opened up and they're selling some merch. So if you go to CFLFansFightCancer.com, they've got a shirt, a hoodie, a pin up there. You get a tax receipts with the merch that you buy. But the reason I'm bringing it up here is that the deadline to order stuff is June 15th. So head to CFLFansFightCancer.com, and man, they got that logo there, the footballs into a heart with the CFL FFC banners there. So make sure you support CFL Fans Fight Cancer, this grassroots initiative that just gets bigger and bigger every single Grey Cup. I know we've all been at events in the past, but Andrew, it seems like this thing's starting to get bigger than just one afternoon in a bar. It's getting crazy.
Well, it's like an all-year thing now. I mean, we did the our off-season Westivus, which happened to coincide with the kind of the CFL family get-together in February, and had silent auction items and raised money for CFL Fans Fight Cancer. And I mean, it's something that now has become such a big thing with all of the CFL fans, and I'm finding new CFL fans are starting to hear about it more and wanting to be a part of it, right? So they want to come and see, what is this thing? What are these things where did you get that item? Oh, I got that at the CFL Fans Fight Cancer event. Well, when is that? And I think even in Hamilton, I mean, that bar was packed, and Vancouver, it was packed.
Yeah.
Like there was no space to get around. Like it was, find your table and your people and enjoy your time, because that's what's going to happen. But great time, great cause, and I love that it's becoming a full year kind of thing where we're getting more and more for these charities that can help people as they go through this struggle.
Oh, yeah, and I guess we should mention, you said year-long, the Fantasy League that started a couple of years ago. Big jackpots. Last year, I did absolutely horrible in fantasy, so I'm hoping 2025 is my redemption. And Andrew, I'm sure hoping, or that you think, that 2025 will be redemption for the Edmonton Elks, 7-11 in 2024. I like that record, I like that store, but not winning football if you have a 7-11 record. They missed the playoffs for the fourth consecutive season, but man, a off season of change. It seems like again in Edmonton, but out is G. Roy Simon, out is Jarius Jackson. We'll include Chris Jones, even though that was the middle of last season. But in is Ed Hervey, or back is Ed Hervey. In is Mark Kilam, and with the organization is Chris Morris. How would you describe the atmosphere around the team? I know we're only about 5 days into training camp and throughout the rest of the off-season events, but how would you describe the atmosphere around that team right now?
Right now, I would say it's very excited. And I think that there is just that energy that is coming through. And the only way I can word this, and I know this is going to sound a bit funny, but it doesn't feel like there is this fear pressure. It feels like there's pressure to perform. And that is a different it is a different feel all over, right? You have guys that are excited to be here, that want to impress and learn and be better. and not be like, I have to be on my best for any chance. It's there. Every position is up for grabs. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's lots after the first few days, and we're like, oh yeah, those are the ones. We get it. But the learning that I'm seeing, even the very first day of training camp, was a lot slower. There was a lot more teaching. There was a lot more, hey, I want you to be doing this. And there, other than, I think today there was a little bit of like yelling where it's like, hey, what are you doing? Right. But other than that, it's all been very, okay, like, step into my office. I need you to go here, here, and there, right? And that's what's gonna, and so I think that that's just a different feel overall, and it generates a culture where you've got players that are happy to be here and want to succeed to be here, and not feeling like one wrong step is going to put them in a wrong spot.
How would you describe Ed Hervey now compared to his last tenure with Edmonton?
Well, I would say that he has learned. He has learned some things. Now, sometimes he still, says superstars when he shouldn't. But there's a lot of debate about that, and that's fine. But as far as being approachable, as far as being as open as he can be, as far as being welcoming to the media side and to the fans, I think he's starting to show another side of him, that there is like a little more of that personal side that we didn't see the first time around. But he's very clear. This is his vision, and you either fit it or you don't. And if you're not going to be here to be part of this culture and to be part of, what that brotherhood means to him, then you won't be. And he was always, even when he was here in 14 and 15, it's one thing the players always said was, you never question where you stand with Ed. You may not like what he has to say, but there's never a question on where you stand. And if you come in and you are part of that culture and you are part of finding a way to push the team forward, he will always respectfully reward you for what you've done. So I think that has been a universal comment from anybody who has that I've talked to while he's been in Edmonton, when they were signed by him or invited to join the team by him. And so I think we saw that in the offseason where we had guys that were excited to come here, and Ed was very straightforward with them, and they are now here. So I can't say anything past even just Tre Ford. Nobody thought he was staying here. Like, very few people thought he was staying at Edmonton. And one of the first signings, obviously with a lot of conversation and a lot of trust being put both sides, Tre Ford is here, and I think Ed Hervey has a lot to do with that.
Now, there was some excitement last year that we'd be able to see a full season of Tre Ford, but we know what happened. McLeod Bethel Thompson shows up, but now he's out. In is Cody Fajardo, but still a guy that has a Grey Cup under his belt. Last year, before the injury, he was playing MOP level football for Montreal. Yep. So now he's behind Tre Ford. I don't know. I see a lot of parallels. And if Tre falters off the start, on one hand, I feel like Edmonton fans, they kind of want to ride or die with Tre. If it doesn't work, at least we went down with the guy we wanted, But having Cody Fajardo there as an insurance policy is a heck of an insurance policy. How have you seen him handling training camp? Because he's been the guy for several years, whether it's been with Saskatchewan or Montreal.
Yeah, I think that was dealt with before they were able to get him signed here. Like, I think they were Ed is very clear. Mark seems also very clear. supportive but clear, right? And this is what your role is. This is what we want you to be on this team. Now, I want Tre to have a ton of success, and I want him to be able to play well and get through the entire season and lead this team the way we want him to be able to. That all the people that have been calling for that, right? He's still out of his 3 seasons. He hasn't had one season where he hasn't had some type of injury. So you're going to need to have a good backup, and I can't think of a better one than the guy that was the Grey Cup MVP 2 years ago. So not bad, right? And I think because last year, not that I said this many times, I really wasn't upset about McLeod coming in because I wanted him to teach Tre how to be a leader, because Tre didn't have that. He had Cornelius ahead of him for a little bit. He had Arbuckle in front of him, but he didn't really have that person who could teach him what it means to be a leader in the CFL. And so I was supportive of McLeod coming in, and I thought that it really wasn't like McLeod didn't have a bad year. Like they still had the second overall offense in the league. They just had they couldn't stop anybody from scoring. So,
yeah, like I don't need to remind you, was it 3 consecutive games walk-off field goal losses? Like, and those aren't on McLeod. Like
no, those aren't on McLeod. And so I didn't mind that as much. Now when they were struggling and not, and still like 0-7 or 0-8, whatever it got to, I'm sure I've just, blacked it out because I don't really want to relive that. It was like, then the calls come for Tre. Then Tre comes in. But again, was Tre supported in that role? And that I don't know. And you can even see it in camp this year so far. Tre has embraced the leadership role. And a couple of times we've seen it where there's obviously been a miscommunication with a receiver, and he's pulled the receiver over, said, hey, this is what I need you here. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this. You're going to do this. Right. And then it's dropped. It's not like it's like an ongoing frustration or anything like that. It's like, okay, next play. Right. And we'll get him. And it goes right back to the same guy and they connect. So I think that he's definitely embraced the leadership role, but I think he's also being supported to be the leadership role. So do I think he has a long leash? Absolutely. It's going to take a lot, an injury or please no. But it's going to take that or a really, really bad string to get him out of there as the leader. And Cody can come in and help him with his accuracy, because Cody's so accurate. He can kind of help with, okay, this is the looks that I'm looking at. And you can actually see that wearing off already, where I've seen Tre this year fire that football into a very small space and connect. And that is not something we saw a lot of him before. So I think the influence is there. And so I think it's actually going to be really good to have them in the roles that they're in and they understand what their roles are.
So going from leadership on the field, let's go to leadership off the field. So Mark Kilam, first year as the head coach, making the trek north from Calgary. He's kind of been the heir apparent head coach for the last, while, it seems. So finally getting a shot in Edmonton, from there went to U of A. So what have you seen from him in training camp, and what do you think how do you think he's going to fare in his first season as a head coach?
Well, when you're a rookie head coach, you kind of have to come with, as a fan, I always come in going, okay, there's going to be a few calls that I'm going to be like, really? What? High voice, pitch. What?
We had a few of those this last year with Corey Mace. So,
yep. So you're going to have that, right? So that's fine. But do I love his energy? Yes. Do I love his positivity? Yes. Do I love that he has fun at the same time as being disciplinarian when he needs to be, and trying to understand where they're coming from. Absolutely. And I think he just relates to these players more than what we've had here before. So I'll give him a ton of credit for that. And just even talking to him afterwards, he's focused, he's laser focused, but he is, like he still will have a laugh. Like it's not one of the funniest stories I've had so far at training camp is on Wednesday. It was just a short day. And so we were in the team store afterwards and visiting and looking at stuff. And then Mark's walking by and he goes, hey, everybody, how you doing today? He goes, you want to see something really funny? He's like, there's 75 giant human beings in that pool right down the way. And we go down to the pool, like the entire team is in the pool, and they're playing like this game where it's like offense versus defense trying to knock down flutterboards on either side of the pool. And wow. It's chaotic, but just you could see the team bonding. You could see they're having fun together, but they're still having to kind of work out because it wasn't a game for the light of heart. And for all of the women that were walking by, they're very excited. It was great. Look at all these football players in the pool. Oh, yeah. But I do think that Mark understands that balance. I was telling you guys before, the first day of camp was slower. It was a lot more teaching. The second day, it was a little bit more. The third day, it started to pick up a little more. Then, then the fourth day, they had the slower day, and then they had the pool, then back in the pads again today. So I think he understands how he's not only trying to give them the best time to learn and to gel together, but he's also trying to take care of their bodies and make sure that they can, last as they get into actually playing games.
He was able to assemble quite the staff too, taking a couple guys, if I'm not mistaken, from BC and Jason Tucker. And obviously good history at Edmonton too. And yeah, Jordan Maximic as the OC and assistant head coach. And then Saskatchewan fans were hoping that JC Sherritt would stay in green and white, but he's back to where he had success playing as the DC. And then Steven Sorrells from Saskatchewan is now in Edmonton as the offensive line coach and run game coordinator. So they've not only, if Grey Cups were won in February, a lot of people crowned Edmonton the February Grey Cup champs, but it seems like they've sure assembled a pretty young and exciting coaching staff as well.
I agree. I think actually the free agent signing of the offseason for the Elks was bringing back Demetrius Maxey. He comes back as the special teams coordinator and brings basically the entire Toronto D-line with him because they all want to play with him. And he has such an impact on these guys as a coach. And I love being around him. I was really sad when he left Edmonton, so I'm very happy that he's back. And of course, he brings a lot of the Toronto defense over because they know Maxey. And then you talked about guys like Jordan Maximic. Well, he was here before. He was under Jason Moss, and he knows that Moss offense. And you saw with him and Nathan Rourke 2 years ago what they did. Mm-hmm. Now he's got another young Canadian quarterback to work with. So that's exciting. Jason Tucker coming back is always awesome because, again, he should be on our wall of honor. And the guy knows, what it looks like to be a good receiver. So that's amazing. And JC Sherritt, him coming here, it's just the homecoming, right? It's the spot that we always thought he should be. And
remember when he went to Calgary originally? That had to feel horrible.
It was like when Calvin McCarty went to Calgary, and I'm like, what's this alternate universe where I hate everything? And
Andrew Harris in Saskatchewan.
That's fair. But yeah, JC is just he's a great dude. And then he brings in Aaron Grimes, which is just a huge bump, I think, for the defensive backfield. He was out there just cheering those guys on today, and it's nice to see Aaron energized as well. But those two together, like they led the last Grey Cup winning defense that we had. So I'm very excited to see them. And so far at camp, the defense looks like a monster. I'm very, very excited to watch them play this year.
It almost feels like a bit of a fool's errand to compare this year's defense to the last few defenses in Edmonton, but pressuring the quarterback wasn't the strongest point, and it kind of left the secondary out to dry a little bit. But we've seen what Toronto has done over the past few years, and Seresna, look, another homecoming, green and gold. Brinkman, I am excited to be able to watch this guy on a regular basis. Robbie Smith, the Grey Cup hero in Regina a couple of years ago, gets a nice payday from the Elks. But to see these guys come over, and then Tre Ford's brother Tyrell in the secondary, obviously they're practicing against each other, the twin brothers. What's that dynamic been like in Edmonton?
Oh, Trey's gone at him a number of times. It's actually kind of funny. They'll be he'll go and if that receiver catches the ball near Tyrell, Trey's always but if Tyrell gets it down, the minute he turns around, he's like, yeah. Nope, happening.
I love that.
So awesome. They're competitive, those two. So the defense, you're right. It's like no comparison. Even in camp, the first day they put pads on, and I understand defense will always have the early lead because the offenses are harder to learn, all these types of things, right? But like the offense could do nothing because they were absolutely overwhelmed. If it wasn't the front four, it was Niles, or it was Nick Anderson, or it was Cordell Jackson that has been playing the Sam position. And he comes around that corner really fast. And it's just like the secondary almost doesn't really have to worry because but then like three other times I saw full coverage, what would be a coverage sack. And like, that's just kind of unheard of for us in the last little while. So I think the other big name we're missing there is Royce Metier coming
Canadian,
over because Canadian speed, like just unbelievable. And even bringing over Williams from Calgary, he's Mark Kilam said he's the quiet guy, but he's like the leader of the secondary. And so it's made just a huge difference. And I get it, it's just in practice, but I'm excited to see these guys when they get into some game action.
So I'll ask you about Geno Lewis leaving and Boris Beatty leaving, because didn't that free up like $500,000 in the salary cap? Like that has to be big for assembling a team. Like, I look at Stephen Dunbar Jr. is back. Alexander Hollins, he had a couple 200-yard games last year for the Lions. Keon Julian Grant, Canadian receiver coming over from Montreal, one of the best in the CFL after the catch. Like, this looks like a very exciting time to be an Elks fan in that offense. We saw what the running game did late last year. The offense overall, I know they're struggling getting going against that defense in camp, but there is some promise there, it seems.
Alexander Hollins is a sneaky good get right before camp. And I feel like they probably got him at a deal. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, like you said, when you're, Geno and Bede leave, and that's $500K in your cap. They spread that around where they needed to, right? bring back David Beard to anchor the line. We now have the top two centers in the league on the same offensive line between Cordy and David Beard, right?
Wow.
So it's a nice problem to have. We already talked about the defense and how they shored that up, but when you look at your starting offensive receivers and you look, it's Alexander Hollins, it's Stephen Dunbar, it's Arkell Smith, it's so Curly Gittins Jr., who we've now, and then there's Keon Julian Grant. So there's KJG and KGJ.
Oh,
and so
good
Mike
job.
and I have turned it to Jeej and Jage. And that way we know who we're talking about.
I like it.
So it makes it a little easier. But Jage is really Keon Julian Grant, so you know, because I only said it once. And he's you're right, like he's sneaky good on those after the catch yards. Dunbar has looked outstanding. And then there's guys that are kind of like right on the edge. There's a new guy they've brought in, CJ Hutton, and short guy, but he reminds me of, he's like a Weston Dressler. Like he's short, but he's super fast. And he caught a ball today and got popped like right at the goal line and hung on. Like he just,
nice.
He's had a lot of really impressive moments. And out of all of this that we haven't mentioned either is the 6'7" Canadian receiver, Zach Mathis, who is doing everything he can to be on the starting lineup.
I'm sure if he dropped some tombstones and choke slams, he'd be starting in no time.
You know, and Mike kept saying it. He's like, I don't understand. You have a guy who's 6'7". Like when you get inside the 20, just throw it up in the air. Like who is gonna get his reach? And then that happened at camp today. And he caught like a one-hander, like way up in the air, and the defender was like, yeah, it's not fair. Like the only way that I'm gonna, it's got to be pass interference. So, so that's those types of things when you have depth even down the line that you're like, wow, these guys are really taking that step. That's pretty exciting.
So last year, when things really kind of turned the corner for the Elks, it's really when they focused on their running attack. They had sort of a three-headed monster with Leak, Rankin, and Brown. Brown is off to Toronto. Well, and I guess we could call it four-headed monster because Tre is back there as well. Do you see him evolving into more of a traditional quarterback instead of just a magician in the backfield? Or maybe that will be the last resort instead of, sometimes it seemed like the first choice. However exciting it was, it has caused some injuries. Maybe he's going to want to limit those to have a long career in the Canadian Football League. Do you think we'll see a little bit less, however exciting it is, from Tre doing that kind of stuff?
I think a little bit, but I think the other part that we're going to see, though, is that he's going to take it when it's there. And,
yeah, nice.
But if it isn't there, then I think what's going to happen is he's going to get much better at looking through, okay, where are these guys? Where's this guy? Where's this guy? Okay, now I need to do magic, and he'll do it. But I don't think it'll be the first, I have to do this. Now, on the other hand, the guy has incredible speed.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 or 3 times in the past few days, we've been able to see it still kind of come out. And so there are going to be, RPO plays where he is going to take the edge and he's going to win because he's that fast. There are going to be called quarterback draws where he's going to go up the middle and it's going to happen. But I don't think that he'll be relying on the run, but I feel like there'll be a heavy dose of RPO because you won't know if it'll be Tre or Javon, or is it going downfield to the next guy. And I think there's so many weapons there now, and that offensive line that they have will actually give the time for them to have to think about all the weapons. So to me, it'll be a big step forward, and I think under a Maximic system, I'm pretty excited to see what Tre can do.
You already have mentioned a lot about training camp. Just finally, is there a position group that seems to be the most heated when it comes to camp so far? Like where are the most spots up for grabs right now?
The biggest one right now is at kicker, because
wow,
I know I
didn't expect
funny.
that one.
I know it sounds funny, but as I look over who is playing where, on the offense and the defensive side of the ball, they're pretty much set, I think, on who's going to be where. There'll be probably a couple little adjustments that as they trim the roster, they'll try guys in different spots to see. Manny Ragumba, who was one of our big offseason free agent signings, is playing with the twos right now. So, and he's a heavy hitter. So is he going to be a rotational guy? So I think there'll be a little tinkering still, but the battle where we don't actually know who is going to be on the game day roster is that kicker. We know that Cody Grace is going to be the punter, but Campbell Fair and Vincent Blanchard are going toe to toe. They both have the leg. They've both been hitting like 52, 54 yarders. And I understand that's, it's in practice, but still, they're hitting them. I think right now I might give the edge to Campbell Fair, which is great because then we can always say to be fair. I think he has the edge only because he can do both. Like he can do punting and kicking. So if then something happened to Cody, then Campbell could take over. So, but I don't know. It's a very, very tight race. It's a tough call. I was saying to Demetrius Maxey, I'm like, you guys have some really, really tough decisions to make, because he's the special teams coordinator as well. And he's like, yeah, it's a good problem to have. I'm like, oh no, I'm not arguing that, but still, wow. Like, I don't know how you're going to pick. And he's like, we'll find a way. Like he's so nonchalant. It just makes me laugh every time. He's like, it'll be fine.
I love it.
It'll be good. So yeah, I think there's a bit of tweaking. I think the last thing that I want to say with the team, Mike and and Paul were talking today about starting Canadians, and have we seen this kind of Canadian depth on a team in a long time? Right now we have the possibility of having 10 starting Canadians, and it's not because they need a Canadian spot. It's because they are super, super talented players. 4 on the offensive line, Tre Ford at quarterback, both Jeej and Jage as receivers, Metier in the secondary, Robbie Smith on the line, and who was the other? Oh, and Tyrell Ford at corner. So wow. 10 Canadians that are all high talent Canadians, and you can have an American backup for every one of them, because you'll never have to worry about being shy of the Canadian ratio. So to me, that we all know, I should say, because there's 3 of us, that the game relies on having excellent lines and top-notch Canadians. And that makes me excited for where the Elks are headed this year.
The Elks earlier today announcing a partnership with Play Alberta. So will be the Play Alberta field at Commonwealth Stadium. I will never talk down to a team for making some money for naming rights. And hey, the Elks have... it's been no secret that it has been a tough little slog, and this is going to be the first full season of private ownership in Edmonton. There's apparently a team that plays on ice that is going to the conference final, and that might overshadow the beginning of the season again. But their home opener is in Vancouver, Faux Shizzle, with Snoop Dogg. Are you going to be at that one?
Yeah, I sure will be.
Oh, man. Snoop Dogg in BC? Like, that's a match made in heaven.
Well, as long as the roof is open, it'll be fine. Yeah. Otherwise, all the players are going to have a hard time having a good game. It'll be.
They should have it a post-game concert.
Yeah. Oh, that'll only make it worse.
That's true.
No, yeah, but it's going to be quite the. Anyway, no, I had already booked that trip to go out for that game before that announcement was made. But I am quite excited that my what would that be, 23, 24-year-old self is like, woohoo, yeah, that'll be. Yeah. I just finished seeing Bush in concert. I might as well see Snoop Dogg. I mean,
that's right in that heyday. The season is upon us. Andrew from the Turf District podcast hosting that tailgate every home game. I know you told me a few weeks ago you had that menu all set up, and Superman Fike is all excited to reveal this menu. So what's your spot on is it the West End parking lot, or where is it now? I don't know.
Yes, it's on the west side. It's kind of right off of Gate 2, which is on kind of the southwest corner of the stadium. And that's where the entirety of the tailgating is. Clark Park is right beside there. And if you go to the north end of Clark Park and look towards the tailgate, you'll see us. We're right dead center on that far lane. We're going to... the menu should be revealed this week, so that's a little teaser for people, so they they'll be able to catch up with the menu for the entire season. We're excited because this year we have a game that starts at 2, so we have like a brunch one day, which is going to be fun. So
I think there's a 1:00 game August long.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, it's 1:00. So then we're starting.
Will there be pancakes, please?
Oh, you'll have to look for the menu.
I love pancakes. Like,
you know what? If I started giving away stuff, Mike would like appear and like take me out of the picture. Okay. So I don't want that to happen.
Okay.
It's no, it'll be revealed soon.
Okay.
But there's some favorites coming back.
I feel like a Benedict would be hard to pull off on location.
You know what?
But if anybody can figure it out, he's probably got some crazy slow cooker hollandaise or something like that.
I mean, we'd figure it out, but
that's true.
Be like, I like what he went with. I will tell you.
Okay.
I like what he went with. I'm excited for what he went with, and I will say there will be mimosas. I can at least say that, because it's tailgate and it's early in the morning. That's what we need to have. So tune in for all of the announcement. It'll go out on all the socials after we announce it on the pod.
Well, you guys are a big part of that awesome game day atmosphere in Edmonton. So thanks for what you do. Thanks for the show you do. And thanks for coming here to help us preview the 2025 season for the Edmonton Elks. That is number 5, team number 5 of 9 in our previews as we move along the CFL. So thanks for doing this, Andrew.
Hey, thank you so much. I love chatting with you guys. So as you can tell, because I never shut up, but it was great. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited for football to be right around the corner and to be able to see all of you once again at all of these fun games.
You can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out on your favorite podcatcher or on YouTube. And you can check out our past team previews already uploaded there. And if you subscribe and ring the bell for the notifications, you'll get notified for the future team previews still to come. For Andrew from the Turf District, for Sheldon Jones, I'm Travis Currah. Thanks for checking out Two and Out.